everybody, and welcome to In My Mug, episode 265, on Monday the 9th of December 2013. I am your flu-ridden host, Stephen Layton. Welcome to In My Mug, and welcome to the news! Man flu can kill! On serious news. Did you get one of the gifts from midnight last week? If so, and you were one of the lucky 50, I do hope you enjoy your yellow Limoncillo Pacamara, £25 a bag. That was very... oh, my keys have fell out. Go away, keys. Kindly hand-wrapped by me and Christopher. Yes, that's the end of the guest espresso blends. We're not going to be doing one next year. We're going to take a little bit of a break. It's been a lot of work and a lot of fun, so thank you for everybody that has participated in that. Christmas espresso and Christmas filter blends are now available on the site. A tradition of 9 years. We are keeping that tradition alive. They will be the Christmas and New Year's coffees for In My Mug. But if you want to try them before, then you should go on the site and do so. Limited for the month of December. Once they're gone, they are gone. Christmas opening and postage times are on the site. Take a look if you need your In My Mug topping up for over the Christmas period. This year, we will be sending out the Christmas and New Year one a couple of days before Christmas, so hopefully should be with you before then. And that was the slightly Christmassy but very informative news! So, as you can see, I am on my knees with man flu. I've delayed recording this for a few days, hoping that I would improve. And I actually have improved a lot, but I'm still feeling fairly grim. So I'm happy that we're using a coffee this week that has a brilliant focus on, and a focus on that I recorded a few months back. Aldolfo of Fazenda Passaio, which is this week's coffee, came to see us a few months ago, as I said, and I asked him lots of questions about the farm when I wasn't full of flu. So, healthy Steve and Aldolfo, it's over to you. So hello, so we've done a little introduction, and as I said to you, I've got a super special guest with me here. I've got Aldolfo of Fazenda Passaio in Brazil. Aldolfo is going to just tell you a little bit about the farm and a little bit about himself and how he came to be looking after the farm. So tell us, Aldolfo, how long have you worked on the farm, and tell us a little bit about Passaio.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here in Has-Been with my big friend Steven, and I will talk a little about my farm, Fazenda Passaio, in south of Minas. My family works with coffee about more than 100 years ago, and I think that the difference exists in our farm that we works with coffee, we works with passion too, and we produce. We not produce that we like it. We produce that our customers like it. Our customer asks for me and for us, and we targeting produce the best coffee too.
Aldolfo is quite unique, as in most farms in Brazil are very big, aren't they?
Yeah.
And how much coffee does your farm produce completely? So all of the coffee, how much do you produce?
Yes, in my farm we produce about 80,000 bags.
Which is a lot of bags. That's more than Bolivia.
Yes.
So you produce more coffee than Bolivia on your farm.
Yes. For in special coffee we produce about 50% this quantity, about 4,000 bags.
So Aldolfo has done this by planting some unique varietals on the farm.
Yes.
And also with unique processing. And I think that your processing is quite different to lots of processing I've seen. Your natural processing.
Yes, we specialize in natural process because Pulped natural is more easy to do a good coffee, but natural process in Brazil isn't easy to make, and in our farm we specialize in this process in small lots, micro lots, to improve the quality.
Yeah. And by having micro lots, Adolfo has found coffees that we can try some and we go, actually that doesn't work so much for me, and this one, oh I love this one. And we worked with you with the Rubi and the Passaio last year. So can you tell us a little bit about Rubi as a varietal and how you came to work with that coffee?
Yes, Rubi and Topazio we planted about 5-6 years ago. New varieties that we are testing, and we see the quality and find the quality, the best quality of the farm. Rubi is a variety, a crosser, Catuai and Mundo Novo, and Topazio too. Normally, Rubi is red coffee and the Topazio yellow coffee.
So Mundo Novo is a varietal that was developed in Brazil, and it's very much a Brazilian variety and works very well in Brazil, doesn't it?
Yes.
And Catuai is the other?
Yes, Catuai and Mundo Novo are developed in Brazil, and Mundo Novo has 70% of Bourbon, and the Catuai too. The crosser between Mundo Novo and Catuai, original Rubi and Topazio, excellent quality, excellent producer.
And I think this is really important because what Adolfo's done on the farm, he hasn't planted varieties that aren't going to work well there. So we see lots of people plant geisha in places where you shouldn't plant geisha, and geisha in Brazil should never ever be planted
Never.
But some people will try it and they'll plant varietals that don't fit where they go, and what you've done is you've selected coffees that fit the soil and the climate that you have.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it? And this is why it's so exciting to work with somebody like this, because they're not just going with the latest trend. They're going with coffees that are going to be really tasty and really delicious. And as you're going to see, and I'm going to see when I'm back with you in just a moment. But I think, big hero worship for Adolfo coming to talk to us today. It's amazing, and thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I really like that video. I really liked Adolfo. There's a picture of him meeting Roland where he looks rather petrified because it's Roland's head off in my mug. Roland wasn't here that week, so we thought we'd introduce him anyway. So this coffee comes from the Vieira family, who specialised in coffee production for over 3 generations. Adolfo is the current custodian of the farm, and is one of the most attention to detail guys I think I've ever met. He is very, very good at controlling the variables. His farm is huge, as we said in the video. 80,000 bags is so many bags. But he has 2 kind of businesses. He has this commercial business that sells a lot of commodity coffee. Then he has this very specialist business that he looks at very differently, because he knows he gets a very different price, and probably spends just as much energy on this very small part of his business as he does the commercial side, as the commercial side doesn't really need him to have those attentions to detail. What does need his attention is the environmental impact that a big farm like that can have. And Brazil is very protective of rainforests and very protective against the environment. He has a certain amount of native forest set aside within the farm, which is it's like a centre for tourists and school children and ecologists. And he's constantly planting new trees and has created some water sources, so man-made lakes, and spent a lot of time and effort on that. Unlike most Brazilian farms, it's all hand-picked, and this is a lot of Brazil farms mechanically pick, so they'll just go along with a big hoover and suck everything off the tree. But he still goes to all of the attention of hand picking. His natural processing, which is the coffee that I haven't sent you on this one, but I kind of wish I had a little bit, is phenomenal. Like, scary phenomenal. It is not like any other natural I've tasted. It's so clean and so well processed, but still has those delicious base notes. And that's a coffee you should definitely try. It's not going to be on it in my mug, so the Passaio Ruby Natural is not one we're going to be selling. Now the farm produces a number of different lots, as Adolfo was saying. We also have so the varietal, which comes from Mundo Novo and Cataí, both Brazilian lots, and very separately separated. Now there is a lot called Passaio, which is the same as this Mundo Novo Cataí hybrid, but that's going to be a world exclusive for 3FE, third floor espresso in Dublin, in Ireland. That is, we've actually started roasting there this week, and it's a coffee that I've picked out especially for them. But we have the Ruby here, so we should go through the numbers. It's called Fazenda Passaio. It's 100% Ruby. It is a pulp natural process. It comes from a farm with an altitude of 1,100 metres to 1,200 metres above sea level. It is owned by Adolfo Henrique Vieira Ferreira. The nearest city is Alfenas. The region is Minas Gerais, which is one of my favourite regions in the country of Brazil. So, I think it's now time for us to go and do the map bit. And the map bit this week is another one of those stunners. Brazil is really good at the map bit.
It's the map bit, no expense spent. It's the map bit.
Hello. So, we zoom down, as is the new way, and we zoom back out. And unusually, because we've been going to Africa and Asia a lot, we're going to go to South America. Oh, come on, Steve, get your brain in gear. So, South America. And we're going to focus on the continent, so let's look at some stuff with our snazzy transition. We can see Brazil there, and Bolivia and Peru, but we're interested in the continent. So 6 growing countries, population of a lot, a surface area of a lot more. And when you compare that against the UK, it kind of gives you a real idea of just how vast a country it is. So we're going to zoom down to Brazil. And here we can see Inglaterra, Cachoeira, Passaio. But before we go down to those farms, we should look at the country statistics. So, and more snazzy transitions. The country is called Brazil, or Brazil. The population, again, just humongous when you compare it to the UK. 4 times the size population. Size, big, and the capital is Brasilia, which everybody thinks it's Rio, but no, it's Brasilia, which is the where the government is. And we're going to look at Minas Gerais. Minas Gerais, lots of great coffee comes from this region, but it's all down in the bottom south, kind of southwest kind of part. So let's zoom down to there, and we'll zoom down to Passaio, and you can see a really good view of the farm here. A great aerial view of the water source and all of the drying patios. Really good detail, which I'm very, very happy with. To give you context of where they are compared to Cachoeira and Inglaterra, you can see that it's a little bit more in. Cachoeira is actually not in Minas Gerais. It's on the border of, and Pocas de Caldas is where Inglaterra is. So let's look at the farm pictures. And here we've got Adolfo looking very happy. And if you look at those ribs, the way the plants are in that top right picture, what I want you to do is look at the ribs. And then when we go back to the map, you can actually see those ribs. Can you see them? So there we go, zoom out so you see it a little bit more. Yeah, so we're going to look at the farm details. So the name is Fazenda Passaio. The altitude is 1,100 to 1,200 metres above sea level. The varietal is this unusual ruby varietal, and the nearest town is Alfenas. The ruby varietal is the mixture of Mundo Novo and Cataí that we're so proud to have. So that was the map bit.
Told you it was going to be a good one, didn't I? Brazil just seems to have the satellites aligned at the right times, and yeah, they always come up good. So it's time for Dale's Barista Question of the Week, and this week's has been sent in via Paul Buds, and Paul was asking, he's been thinking a lot about the effect, if any, of the length of pre-infusion, the length of the pre-infusion on espresso would have on the extraction. So pre-infusion is something that happens before the main water pressure hits the espresso. So Dale, let us know. Not all pre-infusions are the same. Some just turn water on and off and reduce the flow. Others lower the pressure and let the water gently come through, allowing the inconsistencies of the barista to be ironed out. Pre-infusions also allow you to have a slightly coarser grind and maintaining a similar extraction, which can increase the mouthfeel. I'm a barista! He is indeed a barista. You may notice to my right that I have no wheel of death. I don't feel like punishing myself this week. I feel I'm being punished enough with this cold, but the wheel of death will be back next week, I promise. It could be the wheel of discovery, but I don't want to take that chance. So I'm going to whack you on pause, I'm going to go and make drinks, and I'm going to do my very best to taste them with you. Okay, so I'm back. Let's dive straight into the espresso. I am skipping snozzer in the bowl this week as I can barely breathe, let alone smell. But I will try and smell the espresso. Now, this week, I've left it as late as possible, as I said earlier, because I'm not very well. Have I said I'm not very well? I should tell you about me not being very well, shouldn't I, really? But normally, it's during the week, and somebody's out there making coffees, because they're better baristas than me. Like, I am a coffee roaster. Like, it doesn't make you a good barista. I'm an adequate barista, I'm not a good barista. And I have lots of good baristas here. But I've made these today because I'm on my own. It's on a Sunday. Yeah, and what Brazils, for me, allow you to do is make a bit of mistake. Like, not quite as big. So this was a 34-second pulled shot because it was a little slow. And I tried it and I just went, that's really good. Like, that's perfect. And it allows you to pull a little bit longer. It was the right yield that I wanted from it. But if I'd pulled this at 23 seconds, it would have been tasty too. As long as you get your brew yield correct, so how much you're trying to yield from the coffee that you're putting in. So I tend to work on a 1.55 basis, so if I'm putting in say 17 grams of coffee, I'm going to times that by 1.55, and that's the yield I'm going to want to achieve from that coffee. And forget the time. Brazils are great at that because they're so forgiving. Like the espresso we had last week, it's very sweet, very milk chocolatey. This one is unusual because last year it didn't have these notes. It was much more biscuity, and there's a little bit of that biscuity in there, but actually there's a clean acidity and a clean sweetness, which I think is very much honeydew melon. I felt it on the cupping table, and even with my reduced senses as they are today, I can still taste it in there. So it's definitely developing as a varietal. This is its 5th year. So, you know, last year was its first full production. This year is its first established production, I guess, and it's definitely improving. So, into milk. Now, adding milk just brings out that chocolatey and the biscuitness that's always been there. It kind of subdues that acidity down, and we'd expect that, you know, from a coffee, you know, that has a gentle acidity. The milk is going to kind of wipe it out a little bit. But again, a very pleasant cappuccino, and Brazil, particularly the Pulp Naturals, lend themselves well to being espresso pulled coffee, in my opinion. And my opinion is the only one that matters. So I'm just going to take a drink before moving on, because this is really difficult. I am going through... I'm having to think about this a lot. I'm having to think about the coffees a lot. I'm having to think about what I'm tasting a lot, and it's really tough. It's like somebody's turned the volume down in my head. So, but even with the volume turned down, that is delicious. It's really good. It's really, really, really good. Like, it is that milk chocolate punch that I expect from a delicious Brazil. But that honeydew melon acidity and sweetness, because you think about biting into a juicy honeydew melon, you know, you get that, but you get that real sweetness with it as well. That's what we're getting in here. A little bit of white sugar as well, which you don't see so much in the espresso and the cappuccino, but there's a little bit of the white sugar sweetness too. But it is just predominantly sweet. And that biscuit finish that was in last year's is definitely there a little bit more. And last year I compared this to a Kit Kat, and I feel very similar about it now. 3 delicious coffees from 1 delicious coffee. Brazils are multi-talented, multifaceted, will work in many, many brew methods, and are vastly underrated. And when you get a producer like Adolfo, watching those details, watching what's happening in there, it's amazing. Now, if you turn on to the natural version, which I've said is not going to be an in my mug, I'm fairly confident it's not going to be an in my mug, but the natural one is like, Kit Kat did a dark chocolate version of their thing, and it's just some more bass notes, some more boom, some more oomph, and that honeydew melon definitely disappears in the natural one to more like, dark chocolate kind of oomph. I would love to do a blend with just these two. And if I was doing the guest blends going forward, it's definitely something I would look at doing. I think the two would work really, really well together, giving you that sweetness, acidity, but then those base notes underneath. But it's a delicious coffee. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble because the delirium is setting in of not being able to breathe and not being able to concentrate because of my man flu. I am going to go home and go to bed and try and edit this on a laptop from my sick bed, I think, but we'll see how that one works out. Listen, thank you for joining me, as always, and do remember, life is too short for bad coffee, and I know this is my life is coming towards an end. Bye.